My name is Lisa, and I'm a little mermaid, curious, stubborn, and drawn to the unknown. Mama always warned me, never swim beyond our waters, Lisa. It's dangerous out there. But I couldn't help myself. The same corals, the same fish, the same rhythm, every day. My elder sister? She swam wherever she pleased, with no one stopping her. But for me, there were always limits, always rules. I never understood why. One quiet afternoon, when the sea seemed still and the world was hushed, I looked around. No eyes on me, not a jellyfish, not a crab, not even Mama. Just a peek, I whispered to myself. So I swam. Further than I'd ever gone before. Past the coral gates, past the whale songs, past the last shadow of home. I swam until I was somewhere unfamiliar, and suddenly I realized I was lost. The water felt colder, emptier. I turned, spun, cried out, "Mama! Sister?" But only silence replied. Panic. Real deep panic. I even sang our favorite song, hoping someone would hear. But there was no harmony, no echo. I was alone. Just then, something caught my eye. A human, bending to fetch water from the riverbank. I hid behind a floating leaf, but a sudden wave betrayed me, sweeping me into the calabash she was using. I tried to scream, but the water carried me. She lifted the pot, unaware, and carried me home. Terrified, I clung to the hope that she'd notice me. But no, she placed the pot down and walked away, speaking in a language I didn't understand. Moments later, a little boy came skipping in. He began playing with the water, splashing it with his hands. His mother scolded him, her voice firm but loving. I couldn't make out her words, but the boy understood. He left. Then returned with a small bowl, dipping it into the pot. The moment he lifted it, he saw me. His eyes widened. He gasped. Then, splash! He flung the bowl and I landed hard on the ground. My tail throbbed. My heart raced. He looked ready to run, fear all over his face. But instead, he came closer. Trembling, he picked me up in both hands and stared at me. I was soaked, dizzy, furious. "Put me in water, you fool!" I shouted. He screamed and dropped me again, startled. But then he came back, even more curious. "You talk?" he whispered. "You speak English?" I asked back, just as surprised. "Of course I do. What are you?" "I'm, Lisa. And you?" "Mustafa," he said. I glanced around. "That woman earlier, was she your mom?" He nodded. She was speaking in our native language. "Well, Mustafa," I said, trying to remain calm. "Please, I need water. I can't breathe well. If I put you back in the pot, my mom might see you and she could get scared. She might do something bad." He paused, then gently placed me on a cloth while he ran out of the room. When he returned, he had a clear glass bottle filled with water. Carefully, he lifted me and placed me inside. "That should keep you safe for now," he said, smiling proudly. "Thank you," I said, my voice softening. I pressed my palms against the glass, peering out at this strange, kind boy. "You really don't know your way back?" he asked. I shook my head. "I only wanted to see more. Now I'm stuck here." Mustafa sat down beside the bottle, still staring at me in wonder. "Well," he said, "you're not alone anymore." And for the first time since I swam away, I didn't feel afraid. "I was only trying to explore," I whispered sadly, still floating in the glass bottle Mustafa had gently placed me in. "Now, I don't know how to get home. My sister's wedding is in 2 days. Please, can you help me?" Mustafa crouched beside the bottle, his expression thoughtful and conflicted. "Maybe if you just put me back in the river," I continued with a glimmer of hope. My father must have organized a search party by now. And once I get back in the water, I can sing our family song. They'll hear me. They always do." He bit his lip, uncertain. "It's not that simple," he said after a pause, rubbing the back of his head. "Children aren't allowed near the river here. The elders say mermaids kidnap kids. They say anyone who meets one never sees their family again." "What? That's not true," I cried. "We don't kidnap people. We're peaceful. We're harmless. Please, Mustafa, I promise I'll bring no harm to you or your family." He looked at me again. This time, a bit softer. "I heard mermaids can grant wishes? Is that true?" he asked, grinning. I hesitated, then said, "If it gets me home, I'll give you whatever you wish." His eyes lit up. "Okay then. I wish my family and I could go to the white man's land. All of us. Me, my mom, my siblings. Can you make that happen?" I nodded. "Yes, I promise. If you help me get home, I'll make sure your wish comes true." Just then, a voice pierced the room. "Mustafa, what are you hiding there?" His mother stood in the doorway, arms on her waist, eyes narrowing suspiciously. "It's just an empty bottle of water," Mustafa stammered. I was about to throw it away. "Then do that quickly and come help me in the kitchen," she said, retying the cloth around her waist as she turned and walked off. Mustafa exhaled, grabbed the bottle with me still inside, and tiptoed into a nearby room. "This is where my siblings and I sleep," he whispered, placing the bottle under a pillow on one of the small beds. "Just stay here. I'll be back soon. Don't make any noise, okay?" I nodded silently, heart thudding in my chest. After a few minutes, the room door creaked open again. A tiny girl, no older than 5, tiptoed in. She lifted the pillow slowly and froze. Our eyes met. Her mouth slowly fell open, and then, "Annabelle!" she screamed, her voice slicing through the silence. "Annabelle!" I sank deeper into the water, terrified. Who is Annabelle? I wondered, clinging to the edge of the bottle with wide eyes. She shouted again. "Annabelle!" Mustafa came running in, panic in his eyes. He saw the girl pointing at the bottle, saw my tail glistening faintly in the dim light. Without a word, he snatched the bottle and hid it behind him, just as an older girl walked in. "What is it, Jennifer?" she asked, confused and slightly annoyed. "Why are you yelling my name like that?" The little girl, Jennifer, just pointed at Mustafa, too stunned to speak. "What did you do to her, Mustafa? And what are you hiding behind your back?" Annabelle asked, stepping closer, suspicion growing in her voice. "Nothing," he said quickly, inching toward the door. "She just got scared, that's all." And with that, he dashed out of the room, clutching the bottle close to his chest. His heart was pounding. Mine too. But we both knew one thing for sure now. Someone else had seen me. And the secret was no longer safe. Little Jennifer stood frozen in the doorway, her eyes wide with fear and wonder. "I saw something under the pillow," she whispered shakily. Annabelle, her older sister, furrowed her brows. "What do you mean?" Jennifer took a step back and whispered again, this time more clearly. "It was a mermaid. In a bottle. Under Mustafa's pillow." Annabelle blinked in disbelief. "A mermaid?" Jennifer nodded quickly, clenching her tiny fists. "I swear, she had a tail. She looked at me." Annabelle sighed and walked toward the bed. "He probably already took it. Maybe it wasn't a mermaid, Jennifer. Maybe you just imagined it." "No, I know what I saw," Jennifer cried softly as Annabelle left the room. Alone now, Jennifer whispered to herself, "I know No one will believe me. But I saw her. That night, while the household gathered for dinner, the three siblings, Mustafa, Annabelle, and Jennifer, sat at the table, occasionally stealing glances at one another. The tension was quiet, but unmistakable. Something unspoken danced between their eyes. When everyone was fast asleep and the night was deep and silent, Mustafa gently reached under his pillow and pulled out the bottle. I floated inside, tired but hopeful. "Hey," he whispered to me. "You'll be fine, I promise. Tomorrow I'll take you to the river." He smiled warmly and held up a tiny piece of bread. "You must be hungry," he said, opening the bottle. "Here, take this." As I nibbled on the soft, soggy crumb, I looked up at him curiously. "Who were those girls earlier?" I asked. "That's my family," he replied. "The younger one is Jennifer, and the one who almost found you. She's my big sister, Annabelle." Before he could say more, a creaking sound interrupted us. The bedroom door opened. Annabelle stood there, arms folded, eyes narrowed. "Who are you talking to?" Mustafa froze, caught. "I was just talking to myself," he mumbled, scratching his head nervously. But Annabelle had already seen the bottle in his hands. She stepped forward quickly and snatched it. "What is this?" she demanded. "Is that a mermaid?" I pressed myself against the side of the glass, terrified. "No, I mean, yes, but she's not dangerous," Mustafa said quickly. "I didn't trap her. I'm trying to help her get home." Annabelle stared into the bottle, eyes locked on me. "You're telling me this thing talks?" "I'm not a thing," I said softly. "I'm Lisa." Annabelle's scream shattered the stillness as she tossed the bottle in the air and hid behind her brother. He caught it just in time, cradling it protectively. "Don't be afraid," he whispered. "Lisiquo, albay ko na nini namadi." He turned to his sister. "Please, don't tell Mom. I promised to help her find her way back, and she promised to fulfill my wish in return." Annabelle's curiosity took over her fear. She stepped closer again. "What kind of wish?" "To take me and our family to the white man's land," Mustafa said, eyes lighting up. Annabelle's eyes gleamed. She snatched the bottle back and held it up to eye level. "What about me? Can she fulfill my wish too?" I hesitated. I can only grant one wish. I'm just a little mermaid. I don't have that much power." "Fine," Annabelle huffed. "Then I want glass heels. That's it. If you promise me beautiful glass heels, I won't tell Mom." I smiled gently from inside the bottle. "You have my word." Annabelle smiled, satisfied, and handed the bottle back to Mustafa. "Good, because if Mom finds out, we're all dead," she whispered. They both lay down again, and Mustafa kept the bottle close, resting his hand gently on it, as if to say, "You're safe with me." The morning sun hadn't yet fully risen when Annabelle gently shook her brother awake. "Mustafa," she whispered urgently. "It's time. Let's take her back before anyone finds out." Still half asleep, he rubbed his eyes, then nodded. "Okay, let's do it." With me carefully hidden inside the bottle, the two of them slipped out of the house and tiptoed through the village paths toward the river. The air was cool and still. The world seemed to be holding its breath. But just before the bend that led to the river, they were stopped by a hunched, sharp-eyed old woman in a tattered headscarf. "And where do you two think you're going?" she barked. Her voice cracked like dry wood. Mustafa froze. "We were just, walking." "Don't lie to me, boy," she snapped. "You know children aren't allowed on this path. The elders have forbidden it. Annabel grabbed her brother's hand, whispered, "Run!" and the two dashed away in the opposite direction. They didn't stop until they ducked behind a thick tree trunk, hearts pounding, holding their breath until the old woman hobbled past without noticing them. Once the path was clear again, they quietly slipped back onto the trail and finally reached the edge of the river. As the trees parted and the water came into view, they gasped. The riverbank was swarming with merman soldiers, their spears raised, their eyes scanning every ripple of the water. They had been searching for me. Mustafa quickly pulled the bottle from his bag. "It's now or never," he whispered. And without a second thought, he uncorked it and poured me gently into the river. The moment I hit the water, my body transformed again. Fins, shimmering, strength returning. I swam forward and was instantly surrounded by my people. Tears filled my eyes as I embraced the soldiers. "I'm home," I whispered. But before I could even breathe, the commander of the merman guard stepped forward, his face like stone, and pointed his sword at Annabel and Mustafa. "You two," he thundered. Where did you take her? What did you do?" "No, they didn't take me anywhere," I shouted, swimming forward. "They helped me. They saved my life." But the commander didn't flinch. Instead, he pulled out a bottle filled with a glowing red concoction. "No, wait, please," I cried. Before I could stop him, he poured it over Mustafa. Annabel dodged back with a scream as the liquid shimmered and bubbled over her brother's skin. Slowly, horrifyingly, Mustafa began to melt, his body dissolving into the water like candle wax. "No, stop!" I screamed. "He's innocent!" But the commander didn't speak. Two guards collected the melted substance in a small ceremonial drum. Annabel ran, crying, disappearing into the woods, her voice echoing behind her. "You betrayed us!" I stayed in the water, sobbing helplessly. No one listened. No one cared. My cries were swallowed by the current. When I returned home, my family welcomed me with open arms. "Lisa," my mother cried, "we thought we'd lost you." My father held me tightly, eyes brimming with tears. "Where were you?" We were so worried, but I couldn't smile. I couldn't even speak for a while. My heart was too heavy. Finally, I said softly, "Dad, the boy who was taken by the commander, he saved my life." "What do you mean?" my father asked. I looked at him with tear-filled eyes. "I swam too far, got lost. A human woman fetched water from the river, and I ended up in her pot. The boy, Mustafa, found me, gave me water, fed me, kept me safe." My father's face darkened. "He put his hands on you? Took you from the river? Then he must face punishment." "No," I cried. "Nothing must happen to him. Please, Papa. He's the reason I'm alive." But I knew the commander wouldn't care. So I swam, alone and desperate, to the commander's quarters. There, surrounded by silent guards, the ceremonial drum still sat. "I beg you," I said, "open it." He didn't speak, just slowly lifted the lid. A soft glow rose from within. And then, before my eyes, the melted essence of Mustafa shimmered, pulled together, and reformed into a boy. He lay weakly on the ground, his body whole again. He opened his eyes. "Lisa," he whispered, "yeah, you betrayed us." My heart shattered. "No," I whispered back, falling to my knees. "I never meant for this to happen." "You betrayed us." Mustafa's voice trembled as he stared at me from the ground, newly formed, weak and broken. Tears stung my eyes. "No, I didn't. I never meant for this to happen." "Step back, Lisa," the commander barked, brandishing his blade. You've done enough." Before I could respond, I saw two familiar figures swimming quickly toward us. My parents. Their expressions were strained with panic. "Dad! Mom!" I called out. "Please, help him. He doesn't belong here. He's just a boy." He saved my life. But my father's eyes were hard. "He needs to be dealt with," he growled. "Humans should never meddle in our world." "No," I cried. "He's not like the others. He was kind. He protected me when no one else could." Ignoring me, my father swam toward the commander. I turned and rushed home as fast as my tail could carry me. I rummaged through my belongings, my hands shaking, until I found a bottle of Po Sun, a sacred potion feared even by the elders. When I returned to the court of the commander, my people were still gathered, watching Mostafa with suspicion and cruelty. I raised the glowing bottle high in my hand. "Listen to me," I shouted. "All of you." They turned. I pointed the bottle at myself. "If you don't release this boy right now, I swear I'll drink every drop of this." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Lisa, don't," my mother pleaded. "Step back, Mom," I said, voice shaking but firm. "Let him go, or I will end my life here." My father's expression finally cracked. He raised his hand to the commander. "Let the boy go." But I stepped forward again. "Not just let him go, I want him rewarded." My father blinked. "What do you mean?" "I want him to return to his people not just safe, but honored," I said boldly. "Adorn him in gold and precious stones. Give him 2 large trunks filled with treasure, bracelets, pearl necklaces, earrings, glass heels, beautiful clothes, everything." There was a pause. Then my father nodded. "Fine. Name your list. It shall be done." Minutes later, he returned with everything I asked for, piling the riches before Mostafa, who looked too stunned to speak. He was cleaned, dressed in royal garments, and adorned with shimmering jewels. A small troop of Mer soldiers stood by, ready to escort him to the riverbank. I volunteered to go with them. When we reached the river's edge, the water parted softly as we emerged. On the shore, a small crowd had gathered, Mostafa's people, wailing, their faces pale with grief. When they saw someone rise from the water, they stepped back in fear. Then, his mother stepped forward, shaky, hollow-eyed. "Mostafa?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "It's me, Mom," he said softly. With a cry, she ran and threw her arms around him. Annabelle and Jennifer followed, stunned and crying. "Sarah, look!" Jennifer gasped. "It's her, the mermaid, Lisa. And those," Annabelle pointed at the boxes, "are the things we wished for. Your glass heels and pearl necklaces," Mostafa said with a grin. "They're in the 3rd trunk." Annabelle gasped in delight, jumping in place. "You remembered?" I stepped forward, my heart full. "Mostafa, I couldn't take you to the white man's land myself, but with these treasures, your mother can build a new life for all of you. Your dream can still come true." He looked at me, eyes glassy with emotion. "Thank you, Lisa, for everything." We stood in silence, the humans on the bank and the merfolk in the water, as the sun rose between us. I waved, tears in my eyes, and then turned to leave. I had saved him and fulfilled his wish. Years later, I sat in my coral garden when a young mermaid burst through the kelp, panting. "Lisa, a human is at the river. He's calling your name." I stared at her in disbelief. "A human?" "Yes, he's shouting Lisa over and over." I swam fast, my heart racing, faster than I ever had. When I reached the river's mouth, I surfaced. And there he stood, tall, strong, and radiant under the sun. "Mustafa!" I gasped. He turned, and his face broke into a wide, familiar smile. "You guessed right," he said. "It's me. It's so good to see you again." He turned, and a smile broke across his face. "You guessed right," he said warmly. "It's me." My heart raced as I swam closer, eyes wide. "You look incredible, so strong, so alive. Where have you been all this time?" He took a breath and knelt down to the water's edge, his voice full of quiet gratitude. "Lisa, after you saved me, my mother sold everything you gave us. The gold, the jewels. It was more than enough. We made a fortune." I listened, stunned and full of pride. "She reached out to my uncle in the city," he continued. "He helped us move abroad. Life wasn't easy at first, but the gifts you gave us changed our destiny. I studied, worked hard, and now I'm back." "Back?" I asked, smiling through the emotion welling up in my throat. "Yes," he said. "I returned to the village a few days ago. I'm here to help young people, just like I once was, travel abroad for a better life. I want to give them the same hope you gave me." I couldn't speak for a moment. The boy I once saved had become a man who now saved others. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a necklace, delicate, shimmering with river pearls. "I kept one thing," he said. "The one thing I refused to sell." He dropped it gently into the water. "It belongs to you." Tears slid down my cheeks. I picked up the necklace and clutched it to my heart. "Thank you, Mustafa, for never forgetting." He smiled again. "How could I? You changed my life, Lisa. Completely." We lingered for a moment, two souls from different worlds, connected by love, kindness, and fate. And just like that, he waved goodbye. I watched him walk away, confident, noble, and free. My heart was full. This was never about gold or pearls. It was about a chance, a choice, a boy I once believed in. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing to our channel. We have many more powerful, emotional stories coming your way. See you again soon. Star.